friend by your bedside. The latest hits and the greatest memories. Information, news, sport, music and entertainment, requests and dedications. 99.5 FM.
Good morning from the News and Current Affairs Department of OK Communications Incorporated. This is True Confirming with News Net, the 45 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and other parts of the world. Today is Thursday, the 12th day of July 2018. In our top stories, President George Weah signs into law historic deed to West Point, paving the way for the construction of 2,000 modern homes in the slum community to replace existing outmoded structures. Religious cleric Bishop Concon appears uneasy over spillage of innocent blood. Says it is not a good sign for any leadership, while cautioning the pro-poor government that ensure that the security of its citizens are guaranteed. In Battles, Sando County Legislative Caucus Chairman Maftu Zaza terms as dead on arrival the plot of his colleagues to have him suspended for term indefinite. Away from Liberia, Nigerian law graduate has finally been called to the Bahamas after she was blocked from attending the ceremony for insisting on wearing a hijab. The details of these stories and other developments are packaged into this presentation of the program. Stay with us for the rest of the 45 minutes. Thanks for rejoining the program. Next is Augustine Bill Colley and the News Bulletin. Augustine, good morning.
Good morning, Trugan. Good morning, everyone. President George Weah has signed into law the historic deed to the slum community of West Point, which paves way for the transformation of the township into a modern community. The deed, otherwise referred to as the development grant, was presented to the Liberian leader in June of this year for his signature following the conduct of multiple surveys involving the Liberia Land Authority, Ministry of Internal Affairs, and other government agencies. President Weah has turned over the deed to the National Housing Authority in preparation for the construction of 2,000 modern homes in West Point to replace existing outmoded structures. Meanwhile, the first phase for the upgrading comb transformation of the West Point is expected to commence soon with the construction of an ocean defense system to protect the land from sea encroachment. The National Housing Authority is working along with more than 12 government agencies, NGOs, and the township leadership on the upgrading process. West Point has been an epic center of troubling sea erosions over the past years that have made thousands of residents homeless. Meanwhile, President George Weah has extended heartfelt condolence to the Gray family and their entire law enforcement community on the passing of their son and colleague, Police Commissioner Mickey Gray. Commissioner Gray's death has created a deep void within the law enforcement community, and his service to the nation has left an indelible mark in our hearts, the release says. He will further be remembered for the level of passion and dedication he brought to his work as Commissioner of Police for Operations and the high level of patriotism he exhibited in serving his country. The City of Light Church of God in Bartonsville has strongly condemned the brutal murder about a month ago of one of its members in the Catwell-Dixville area. Mrs. Lydia Daku was reportedly murdered by a group spearheaded by an unknown deportee while seeking refuge near a home from a heavy downpour of rain during the early morning hours. Unconfirmed reports say the residents of the house she sought refuge near considered her a witch, a situation that invited others to beat on her, leading to her brutal murder by the deportee. The church said it has been awaiting the police to come up with fundings into the matter, but to no avail, as it has been understood the alleged murderer continues to give conflicting accounts. The City of Light Church of God holds that Mrs. Daku, who has been a registered member of the church along with her family, was a peaceful, harmless citizen and a faithful Christian with no linkage to witchcraft. The church, in a release, said the Liberia National Police should bring this matter to closure, saying nobody has the right to take anyone's life on mere speculations. The head pastor of the church, Bishop John Konkon, is also calling on President George Weah's attention to the wave of killings, some unsolved, across the country. According to the prelate, the spillage of innocent blood is not a good sign for any leadership, and the government must ensure that the security of its citizens is paramount. The church is seeking justice to be served in this matter and calls on the judiciary to fairly dispense justice to matter who is affected or connected in such case. Embattled Sino County Legislative Caucus Chairman Representative Matthew Zaza has termed as dead, or rather the plot of his colleagues to indefinitely suspend him. Amidst his comeback, a group of Sino Caucus members has indefinitely suspended him as chair, along with the expulsion of Senator Joseph Nangbi for what is termed as gross insubordination aimed at bringing the caucus to public disrepute. But Representative Zaza branded Senator Milton Cheji and associates as a group of renegades. The lawmaker said he maintains his status as chairman of the Sino Legislative Caucus. The Sino County District 3 representative added that the plot is the result of Senator Cheji, who sought to influence him to take a radical decision against the appointments of local leaders of the county by President Weah. A payroll order report in possession of this station has established that the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection paid the amount of $26,899 United States dollars to a non-employed account on behalf of multiple employees. The report further notes that approximately 25 persons whose names were not on the personnel listing received the total salary payment of Liberian dollars 282,746, 282,700 for the period of July 1 to 2014 to June 30, 2018. Accounting to the report, the assistant human resource base salary was changed on a monthly basis with no written approval of senior management to support the changes. The GSC audit added that the Ministry of Gender net payment to the employees was in excess of their gross pay, thereby leaving out requisite supporting documents. The audit report, under the signature of GSC boss Useda Gay, indicated that the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection appears to have colluded with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning to alter payroll sent to the Finance Ministry for processing. Meanwhile, the auditing agency has forwarded the document to the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission for immediate investigation into the findings. The chairman of the Governing Council of the CDC has called on President George Weah to issue a strong warning against individuals who are undermining the country's economy. Speaking to this station Wednesday, Chief Cyril Island said there are business individuals who are wrongfully taking advantage of the Weah administration leniency. He wants the president to make a strong pronouncement on the status of the country's suffering economy, especially the hike in basic commodities and the U.S. rate. Chief Cyril Island has meanwhile called on security actors in the country to put under control the issue of counterfeit banknotes on the market. He added that the circulation of counterfeit banknotes is affecting the economy. The Supreme Court of Liberia has ruled in favor of the National Port Authority in a case involving a group under the banner the Executive Work Committee of the Consolidated Leave Employees and Beneficiaries of Alico Pension Fund versus the NPA. An opinion dated 4th July 2018 honored the signatures of the full bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia, cites the lack of legal and factual merits in the case. The court said the informants suffered waiver and latches by waiting for 14 years before attending to the alleged grievance rather than pursuing same when the Supreme Court handed down its opinion and judgment as prescribed by law in such case. The thesis of the July 4th opinion in favor of the National Port Authority follows arguments and contentions advanced by the parties in the High Court's chambers during the March term of court. The informants had prayed the Supreme Court to set aside the 1998 opinion handed down by the Gloria Musso-Scott full bench, which discharged the National Port Authority from all liabilities of the illegal funds. The bill of information, now dismissed by the full bench of the Supreme Court, was filed by and through Councillors Theophilus C. Gould and Frederick R. Taylor Jr. of Campt and Associates Legal Consultancy, claiming $7 million United States dollars. But National Port Authority in-house counsel Vexer Tier said that the informants should have filed or read argument within 3 days after the opinion of the Gloria Musso-Scott bench of 1998. In an effort to meet up with one of its pillars of operations, the Liberia Albino Society will launch its medical outreach program in Buchanan this Friday and Saturday. According to a release from the society, pregnant women and children under 5 years will mainly benefit from the exercise with the donation of drugs, other supplies, and medical services. The release quotes the executive director of LATS, Madam Patricia Logan, as saying the intervention is part of its contributions to society at large, most especially with the recent devastation at the government health facility in Buchanan City, Grand Bassa County. The release puts the cost of drugs and other medical services at about 5,000 United States dollars. At the same time, the medical outreach will coincide with a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of a 10-bedroom clinic and offices valued at 50,000 United States dollars. The Liberia Revenue Authority has certificated and licensed the 25 custom brokers who successfully passed the custom brokers examination administered by the LRA. Custom brokers are private individuals, partnerships, or associations licensed to assist importers and exporters in meeting requirements governing imports and exports. They act as professional agents for importers and exporters, prepared and submit all documents for clearing of goods brought customs. An LRA release says the licensing of the first batch of 25 custom brokers is in keeping with Section 6.0A of the Custom Brokers Revenue Administrative Regulations, which mandates the LRA to administer examination. A high-powered delegation of the government of the Republics of China has paid a courtesy call on President Weiyan at his Ministry of Foreign Affairs office in Monrovia. The delegation is in the country to commence preparatory works for the construction of 2 overhead bridges at 2 strategic locations in Monrovia, including the Ministerial Complex as well as the SKD Boulevard Junction. Speaking during the visit on Tuesday, July 10, 2018, President Weiyan welcomed the Chinese delegation to Liberia and used the occasion to commend the government and people of China for yielding a score for the construction of the 2 overhead bridges. The principal of Kaiva Mission School, Reverend Lawrence Graham, says the mass failure in Watts further suggests that the government has failed. Speaking to this station Wednesday, Reverend Graham said the government's failure to provide laboratories for public institutions in the country also contributed to the failure. He said the failure on the part of the government to provide laboratories to public schools means failure. Reverend Graham added that his institution can boast of one of the best laboratories in the country. And the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAR, has applauded the African Union Assembly for declaring Tuesday, July 11, as the African anti-corruption year, with the team winning the fight against corruption, a sustainable path to Africa's transformation. Santar believes that winning the fight against corruption, which is considered the leading cause of poverty and underdevelopment on the continent, requires increased commitment and political will, which are currently lacking on the continent, especially in Liberia. According to a release, Santar is further urging the AU to dedicate resources to war against corruption in its member countries, increase financial support to help strengthen existing anti-corruption systems, and to support civil society in eradicating discourse from the continent. And that's the news bulletin.
Many thanks, Augustine Bill Colley, for the news bulletin. Augustine returns here later on to bring you the foreign developments. It's 60 minutes past 6 o'clock in Monrovia. If you're just joining us, listening to news net on OKFM 99.5 and on www.okfm.com. My name is Trukon Freeman, presenting this morning. In our top stories, President Weah signs into law historic deed to West Point, paving the way for the construction of 2,000 modern homes in the slum community to replace existing outmoded structures. Religious cleric Bishop Concon appears uneasy over spillage of innocent blood. Says it is not a good sign for any leadership, while cautioning the pro-poor government to ensure the security of its citizens is guaranteed. In Battle Sano County Legislative Caucus Chairman Matthew Zaza terms as dead on arrival the plot of his colleagues to have him suspended for time indefinite. And away from Liberia, a Nigerian law graduate has finally been called to her bar months after she was blocked from attending the ceremony for insisting on wearing hijab. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll bring you the details. Thanks for rejoining the program. In Battle Sano County Legislative Caucus Chairman Representative Matthew Zaza has termed as dead on arrival the plot of his colleagues to suspend him indefinitely. Amidst his comeback, a group of Sano County caucus members has suspended him as chaired along with the expulsion of Sano County Senator Joseph Nangwe for what a term as gross insubordination aimed at bringing the caucus to public disrepute. But Representative Zaza Brenner, Senator Madan Tietche, and his associates as a group of renegades, the lawmaker said he maintains his status as chairman of the caucus.
I have not seen. The point is, when you talk indefinite suspension, now I am the chairman.
Are you the chairman?
I am the chairman. They are renegades. I am saying now they are coup plotters. They are plotters. Their game plan is exposed. They will not use my hands. I am not troubled. I'm smart enough. I have been around for the past 47, 45 years in government. I have taught at the college level. I'm not a fool. They will not use my hands to undermine the government. They want me to undermine the government. They want me to bring their people in that supported them. And they know they are all from the opposition party. But that's what I'm saying. Judge Nagbe agreed that politically it's not prudent for us to go and circumvent what the ruling party in Sano County has done. The list submitted supposed to be on them because that's the ruling party and they know those that voted for them. Therefore, I was right that we should not go and circumvent that list. And that's what made it vex.
What's your next action?
My next action is I'm the chairman and I will do what is right, what is in the best interest of the government, and what is in the best interest of the Sino people.
Will you honor that suspension?
I said I'm the chairman. If I'm honoring it, then why should I call myself chairman?
He's a member of the Sando Legislative Caucus, Representative Matthew Zaza, resisting his suspension from the caucus as chair. The former chairman of the National Investment Commission, NRC, Dr. Soman Pegat, has underscored a need to restructure Liberia's Central Monetary Authority and use one currency. Dr. Pega confirmed Liberia's circulation of three currencies on the market. According to him, there is an urgent need to accelerate the pace of the monetary sector reform to liberalize and integrate financial services into the international financial systems and capital market.
The monetary policy and financial services. The entire world has become one big village where access to markets of different countries are enabled and expedited by improved technology and banking and financial service. We cannot, as Liberians, achieve any appreciable level of economic progress with an outdated financial system. We must improve our financial system. There is an urgent need to accelerate the pace of the monetary sector, reform to liberalize and integrate our financial services into the international financial systems and capital market. To that end, the restructuring of the Central Monetary Authority, which is the central bank, and using one currency in our country that was stated by Professor Jibwe A. Jibwe that years back we use one currency in our country. And I would like to recommend to those of you in authority that the usage of one currency will rather enhance our economy. What are some of our implementation issues? Implementation of the new economic development agenda pertaining to the currency stability will require both a national resolve and a political will to reconcile issues of fundamental concern to a wide range of stakeholders, including vested interest groups and advocates. So we would like to appeal to you, our honorable representatives, through the ingenuity of the Governance Commission, based on their recommendation, that you please take their recommendations into serious consideration and see how we can truly stabilize our economy and do away with three currencies floating on the national scene.
Dr. Suman Pega is the former chairman of the National Investment Commission, via underscoring the need to restructure Liberia's Central Monetary Authority and use of one currency. He made a statement Wednesday when he served as a panelist at the Governance Commission Policy Dialogue on the Liberian economy. The chairman of the Governing Council of the CDC has called on President George Weah to issue a strong warning against individuals who are undermining the country's economy. Speaking to Visitation Wednesday, Chief Cyril Allen said there are business individuals who are wrongfully taking advantage of the Weah administration leniency. He wants the president to make a strong pronouncement on the status of the country's suffering economy, especially the hike in the basic commodities and the U.S. rate.
Also, we have to have a check and balance on the unscrupulous and dubious business men and women in our country that are undermining the dialogue and printing counterfeit notes and all that and creating an outburst of our currency. I think the central bank and other institutions should exercise restraint and control over these areas, and the security forces should also be on top of these things to try to stop them, because these are some of the things that are causing a free flow. People are taking advantage of the fact that there's a new government, and they're taking advantage of the fact that functionaries are just coming into offices and are not quite abreast of what was prevailing before, and they're not getting the proper briefings and whatnot. So they're taking advantage of these things. People should not take advantage of our economy. I think the president should sound out a warning to individuals and scrupulous people who intend to undermine the economy and create hardship for our people. I think that's absolutely wrong, and Buffer cannot make that kind of recommendation and suggestion without any basis. You have to have a strong economic base to make such a pronouncement. I think that he should be, I think they have a committee of the Senate right now that are calling in Liberian business people and businessmen, international business people, to review the possibilities of discussions on the national economy. Without the basis for making such a categorical declaration, I think it's unfair to the country and to the...
Chief Cyril Allen is the chairman of the CDC Governing Council via calling on President George Weah to issue a strong warning against individuals who are undermining the country's economy. Still at the CDC, the national chairman of the ruling party, Maba Molu, has blamed President Weah's predecessor Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for the current state of the economy. There has been a public outcry over the economic hardship in Liberia, parallel occasioned by the devaluation of the local currency to the United States dollars. Chairman Molu, appearing on ERBC Wednesday, named the significant reduction of international personnel and investment as some of the factors for the downward trend of the economy.
His Excellency George Manuel Weah is not responsible. It's important to stress that for the high inflation that has besieged our economy, the responsibility solely rests on the shoulders of his predecessor, Madam Sirleaf, and her policies. He will clean the mess, and Weah will clean the mess of the last 12 years. He will do that. Now, we have warned them. Had they listened, we wouldn't be where we are today. As we speak, we have a capable economic management team that's been working on solutions. I hear people in the street talk about, why is the president not speaking? It's not a speaking matter. Policy re-evaluation. It's about policy methodologies that will offset the imbalances based on the policy, the bad policy of Madam Sirleaf. It's important for the people to know this problem is not as a result of negative policies from this government. It is a spillover for what Madam Sirleaf did. Now, no law has been broken by the president without declaring assets. No law has been broken. No law, and the statute of limitation that provides the basis for a president to declare asset has not been breached. Let's challenge you to come and prove me wrong. So why is there so much ego? Now, this president declared asset when he ran to be senator. The documents are still there. He wouldn't use that. But people are so busy trying to cause a distraction from our governance direction and throw in mockery wrenches intended to slow us down. We will not be snapped. I've just said what laws have been breached. We will not allow this government to be held hostage by traditions and by customs that undermine national development initiatives that benefits poor people's interests. We will not. We are concerned when it comes to fulfillment of laws, regulations that are on the book, not how people think government should be. It's not only because of the bad policies of the past government that got us here. There are many other reasons. And you must understand that there is a tremendous drawdown of international presence, talking about OMIP. Do you know how much hundreds of millions was being injected into our economy by the presence of OMIP personnel? That has been a takeaway. OMIP today has departed Liberia. Look at the importation and exportation of rubber. It has also been drawn down. The extractive industry, etc. So these are the things. My thing is, it is going to be unfair to remove the burden of misgovernance and economic sabotage that was so flagrantly projected under the Ellen government and try to shift it to this government. That's just not fair. This government has not made a single policy move.
Governing CDC National Chairman Maba Molu. The executive director of Sancta Anderson Miamin has described corruption as Liberia's nightmare for its underdevelopment. Sancta is the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. At a news conference Wednesday in Monrovia, in observance of African Anti-Corruption Day, Miamin called on for robust actions by Liberian others to reject corruption.
Dedicated actions must be directed towards ensuring that corruption and other issues linked to procurement, contracting, extractive sector governance, asset recovery, etc. are tackled. Also, the AU must prevail on member states to do more in tackling corruption, which remains a major challenge on the continent. As Liberia joins other African countries in celebrating the African Anti-Corruption Day, we wish to reiterate call for the Liberian government to prioritize and vigorously fight against corruption. There can be no better time than now to do so, when the country's economy is seriously challenged and the negative effects of corruption are glaringly visible across the country. Center calls on the Weah-led government to move away from talks to action, from future to now, and from delay to speed in taking the necessary steps to decisively address corruption in Liberia. Having said the above, we wish to recommend the following. 1. That the government scrupulously enforce existing global, regional, and national laws, policies, and frameworks for fighting against corruption, mainly in Liberia. As you may be aware, Liberia is signatory to most international conventions and protocols, especially best practices around the fight against corruption.
Anderson Miamini is the head of Center describing corruption as Liberia's nightmare for its unknown development. The principal of Harvard Mission School, Reverend Lawrence Grimes, says the mass failure in wax further suggests the government has failed. Speaking to the station Wednesday, Reverend Grimes said government's failure to provide laboratories for public institutions in the country also contributed to the failure.
From WAEC to RANS, meaning that they should be the first to put things into place. And what are some of these things? One, there's no government institution, high school, I don't know, I stand to be corrected, that we cannot print out one science laboratory. If you are telling your country at large, both public, private, mission-based institution, if you are telling us to have science laboratory and where you yourself have never had one for your students that are in the public sectors or public institutions, it means that you have failed. And I want you to carry this. It means that you have failed. If you have not been able to put into place the proper mechanism that will bring out the proper and adequate instructional time and days for teaching, you have never done anything yet. Tautology is not the thing, but the implementation of what should be proportional to the students' learning, that's what matters.
So you are saying 100% that no government school in the Republic of Liberia can boast of laboratory?
There's no government school. High school, I'm talking about high school. High school cannot boast of science laboratory. I stand to be corrected. Kawa Mission has one of the best. We have one of the best. Here, I can take you to the science laboratory to go and see.
Reverend Lawrence Grimes is the principal of Harvard Mission via saying the mass failure in wax further suggests that government has failed. He spoke to my colleague Sylvester Tamat in an interview. Let's now go to our Facebook page to bring you some comments on our top stories we posted last evening. President Weah and his government need to be serious and face this economic hardship that is killing our people on a daily basis. This government for the past 5 to 6 months now is in the habit of so many signing agreements and groundbreaking without implementing any of them. OKFM, you are aware of the groundbreaking of the 14 military hospital and the signing of Acton and Iberman loan agreements, and we are yet to know the status of those projects. And it comes from Leo Mohammed Dukli, a very long comment, but we'll try to summarize it. The Eric S. Gay Raz, Bonjour KFM, Dr. Weah will surely succeed. People in West Point and other slum communities need a better living. Samuel Union. My fellow compatriots of West Point, hope is alive. President Weah is the real hope you can trust. The critics don't expect the mess that was created in the 12 years to be solved in 7 months. Fellow Liberians, please be patient as President Weah endeavors to fix the mess created by past regime. He has heard your crowd and will wipe your tears. After the rain, the sun will surely shine. Be patient. Christian Ayanti, good morning, OKFM, and good morning to the conscious man people of petition number 14, Moswara County, OKFM. Let me say bravo to President George Weah for looking back at one of Liberia's largest and densely populated slum communities in Liberia in showing that people in West Point can have better housing facility. President Weah's ability to emancipate people from poverty cannot be overly emphasized. Okay, Justin F. Banning, good morning, OKFM. The gruesome murder of innocent and peaceful citizens by unknown persons in Liberia is worrisome and must not be taken lightly. This government must prioritize the security of our citizens since they coming into the power of this government. The lives of Liberians are vulnerable. Our economy is at the verge of collapse. Hunger and iron rebels are taking over the nation. And for now, we conclude with the reading of your comments. Good morning, OKFM. I am giving my comment right from Rich Ayape Tax Town, Wenzo, Bapulu County. President Weah should be careful because he is just loading himself with too much sounding purchase. This pro-government wishing him good luck in his leadership, but should be careful. Let's continue with more developments. The head of the Liberia Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Letty, is calling on Liberians to stop crying wolves on the impeachment proceeding against Associate Justice Cabinet Jane Yenkan, quoting Article 71 of the Liberian Constitution, said the law gives the legislature the authority to remove the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court as contrary to their professional conduct. The head of Letty was providing his thought on ongoing argument over a proposal by Representative Gray for the impeachment of Justice Jane. Yana is Gabriel Yenkan.
There are people here who believe that once you are a tenured government official, you can't be fired for any reason whatsoever. You must exhaust your tenure until your tenure comes to an end. Nobody can remove you. It is false. It is poor reasoning. The law is clear. Go to 71. Why does Article 71 say Liberian Constitution? You want to read it for the public, then we can analyze it.
No, I'm trying to find it.
Perfect. But it says you can remove a justice from the Supreme Court bench through impeachment. And impeachment can take place based on several reasons. One of the reasons it cites is that if a justice of the Supreme Court bench is adjudged, is deemed to be violating the Constitution, he has overstepped his bounds. And that's what we took it from. In fact, it says if he's adjudged to be unfit, right, in the discharge. Now, my question to people here is, at what point do we know that the guy is not performing? Because people say the opinion rendered when he's discharging his function. But the law says when he's discharging his function, he discharges his function illegally, wrongfully, or incompetently, then he's susceptible to removal. But people think that anything a guy does, you got to say as of the opinion expressed. What if the opinion is in violation? Because you need to be working before you blunder. That's what we're saying. It didn't say if you slap your wife at home on the job. If you are deemed to be unfit, unqualified, you're not performing well, then it has to be on the job. So what is the job? The job is a renal opinion. So
Gabriel Nyikan is the head of Letty Avea, speaking on the OK Morning Rush yesterday. Moswara County senatorial candidate Joseph is cautioning those opposing his participation in the impending poll to sign a resolution that would mandate the city seat to nominate a replacement for President Weah. The Senate seat for Moswara County became vacant following the election of then Senator George Weah to the presidency. Mr. Joseph, who represents Moswara County District 13 in the 54th legislature, is among citizens contesting the seat. Political parties who are in opposition to Representative Joseph's senatorial bid premise the argument on the fact that the success of the lawmaker would eventually cause another by-election. Considering the harsh economic reality in the country, they think it was unnecessary to continuously fund by-elections. But appearing on ERBC Wednesday alongside CDC's Maba Molu, Joseph said winning the senatorial seat puts him in a better position to attract more investments to the country.
You want Sir Joseph off the race, you want to save money? We can agree. Let them come up and sign a resolution and tell NEC we shouldn't go into election. Let's save the money. Let CDC nominate a candidate. Then we don't need to go into election. Then we save the money. If they are very serious to save money, they are crying baby because they know who Sir Joseph is. This election is over. We're not worried about this election. I can assure you that. President, as I speak to you, I have an offer of 150 containers of medical equipment. I can send you to the United States now. Immediately after the election, I'm going to go to the States and bring them because I'm going as a senator this time. When I went to the United States the first time, I went to the United States as a refugee boy. Speaking, I raised $1 million. The next
Moswara County District 13 lawmaker and a candidate for the senatorial seat, Sir Joseph. We are speaking. Manila City Mayor Jefferson Kochi has said President George Weah will not be distracted by those he believes are responsible for Liberia's economic sabotage. According to Mayor Kochi, the pending senatorial by-election in Moswara and Bon counties is carding for the party as seeks a perfect replacement for Dr. Weah.
We will not intimidate you because the people themselves are in power. So what we do, if you parade a misconception, you'll be subjected to scrutiny and correction. You cannot deny us that. But let me tell you, we're not complaining. But we're trying to say to you, we are dealing with those issues decisively. But you will not get us distracted. Some of those people, we think the police have gotten involved, our security measures have been put in place. As I speak to you currently, there are people who have been charged for economic sabotage. Those people will be brought. I'm telling you, to those crimes, I'm telling you, there's a serious cartel that has been bust into. We know that very well. We appreciate, with love reconciliation, we want to say those people who are engaged will be prosecuted. We can say that to them. We take these elections.
Manure's City Mayor Jefferson Kochi, residents, especially marketers, have described as an embarrassment the current condition of the collapsed Dule Bridge in Lower Makibi County. According to reports, the Dule Bridge, which collapsed since 2017, is hindering trade and transportation to other parts of the county. Our correspondent in Makibi County is Emmanuel Senzi. He provides the details.
The Dule Bridge that collapsed since 2017 has limited the traveling lanes of citizens that move that route to transact businesses. The Dule Bridge in Makibi County is Lower Makibi, and this bridge, people use this bridge to transact business. And since the bridge got damaged, traveling along the 15-gate Hadar route has begun a long distance. It has become very costly, for people who travel along that road, because they can use the Dule Bridge end due to the Dule Bridge since it collapsed. And the only means of passing the road now is by riding. With some citizens that said it's clearing. Like we spoke to a pregnant woman who was crossing the route, and she said the entire situation is clearing. So to pass that route to cross Kino is very much scary for them. So the citizens want the government to pursue on fire to Liberia to rehabilitate the collapsed bridge.
Hasn't there been any response since this bridge collapsed, maybe by Firestone or the government of Liberia?
Nothing yet. Firestone said they went in and modality to see after they address the issue in the soonest possible time, but they did not give exact time.
Emmanuel Sensi is our Makibi County correspondent. He spoke to my colleague, Augustine Bill Colley. Here in Monrovia, the Coalition for Democratic Change, candidate for Bong County Senatorial by-election, has downplayed a session that electors should not support him in the upcoming election. Both representatives Marvin Cole and Sir Joseph of Bong and Moswara counties, respectively, have been endorsed by the CDC to contest the two elections. But citizens say the election will create new vacancies since they are already seated as members of the legislature. However, the Bong County Senatorial candidate would admit to a broken economy inherited by President Weah. However, there was no constitutional reliance resisting him.
We believe that the acumen that individuals continue to provide, I don't think it can hold. The Constitution of the Republic of Liberia provides criteria for one's qualification to contest in any election. So that constitutional right cannot be performed on the basis of economic deprivation, because our economy is broken down, as the president said in his annual speech, in inaugural speech, that we inherited a system that was broken down and that we're trying to clean the mess that was being created. I think it's going to be a process, but we are going to win this election, both in Monserrado and Bong County. These counties, these are seats that we believe that belong to the Coalition for Democratic Change. So I'm grateful, and I call on all citizens on July 31st, go and vote these candidates, Honorable Sir Joseph in Monserrado and Honorable Josiah Marvin Cole in Bong County.
Representative Marvin Cole is a candidate for the Bong County Senatorial by-election. 3 opposition political parties have announced former Internal Affairs Minister Dr. Henrik Togba as their choice for the pending senatorial by-election in Bong County. The party comprising the Labour Party, Unity Party, and the Alternative National Congress described Dr. Togba as a man with an impeccable character who is best suited to replace the Vice President Madam Joao Taylor. Making a disclosure to OK News Wednesday, a member of the collaboration, Darius Delon, said the formal endorsement of the one-time internal affairs boss will be made public at the weekend in Bang.
We are looking forward to the political leader of ANC, Liberty Party in UP, to be in Braga over this weekend, along with a host of other folks that will be available to not just pledge support, verbal support, but technical, financial, and every other support that is required in a democratic election. Wow. Following that, we'll come to Monrovia, to Monterey County next week to do similarly for and with the candidate of UP. Yes, well, we are not all aware and we are cognizant of the fact that election most times is domestic, is local. The people of one county know what they want or will know what they want.
Darius Delon is the Liberty Party's vice chair for political affairs. We are speaking of the party's endorsement of two candidates in the upcoming elections in both Mosrado and Bong counties. Madam Josephine Francis of Mosrado and Dr. Henry Togba of Bong County. To this last development now, the Citizens Bureau for Development and Productivity has called for the investigation of the Liberia National Police in order to regain its public trust. The group spokesman, Cummings Sharif, is calling on the Independent National Commission on Human Rights to investigate the claims and counterclaims of reports of recent shooting in Keba community.
Well, my name is Kumbi B. Sharif. I serve as the PRO of the Citizens Bureau for Development and Productivity, Liberia. Well, we have come to issue this press release. Citizens Bureau for Development and Productivity, Community Justice Initiative, Looking Town, Monrovia, Liberia, called for investigation of the Liberia National Police to regain public trust. For immediate media release, Monrovia, Liberia, July 11, 2018. To promote police-citizen relationship, we will like to caution members of the Liberia National Police, LNP, against the use of excessive force to avoid situations which undermine people's trust and confidence within the institution. According to our analysis, with interaction with community members about the violence which took place on the 27th,
he is the spokesperson of the Citizens Bureau for the Development and Productivity. We are speaking Cummings Sheriff, that is Joshua Recross, about to the Gaston Bill Colley to bring us foreign news.
A Nigerian law graduate has finally been called to the bar months after she was blocked from attending the ceremony for insisting on wearing a hijab. The body in charge of admitting graduating law students had said Amasa Fadots was breaking the dress code. Ms. Fadots said her rights were being violated. The Aroni University graduate wore a wig on top of her head scarf at Tuesday's ceremony for 1,550 students in the capital, Abuja. The Muslim Student Society of Nigeria welcomed the news of her graduation, saying the Nigerian law school has shown enough maturity. Sudanese hopes that the lifting of U.S. sanctions would improve their economy have failed to materialize, writes the BBC's James Comner from the capital, Khartoum. When the U.S. decided to remove economic sanctions in Sudan last October, President Omar el-Bashir's government was ecstatic. Not only did this signal a new era in the often tempestuous relationship with Washington, it allowed the politicians and the Sudanese people to hope that an end to a severe economic crisis was in sight. And U.S. President Donald Trump has urged the NATO allies to commit 4% of their GDP to military spending, double the current target. White House officials confirmed he made the remarks during a summit of NATO leaders in Brussels. Earlier, Mr. Trump criticized Germany over its defense spending and emerging reliance on Russia. That's the foreign news.
With those foreign developments, we conclude today's presentation of news. Then on OKFM 99.5. Many thanks for listening and watching. But before we go, here are the top stories we've been following. In today's presentation of the program, President George Weah signs into law a historic deed to West Point, paving the way for the construction of 2,000 more homes in the slum community to replace existing outmoded structures. Religious cleric Bishop Concon appears uneasy over a spillage of innocent blood. Says it is not a good sign for any leadership, while cautioning the pro-poor government to ensure that the security of its citizens is guaranteed. In Baito Sano County Legislative Caucus Chairman Matthew Zasa terms as dead on arrival the plot of his colleagues to have him suspended for time indefinite. And away from Liberia, a Nigerian law graduate has finally been called to the bar after months she was blocked from attending the ceremony for the 16 on wearing a hijab. Augustine Bill Colley was here with the news bulletin and foreign developments. My name is Trukon Freeman. I presented Jimmy D. Wilson Sada Controls and handled all of the sound. Next on this broadcast is the OK Morning Rush.